Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimli. We're on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, strong push from the Judicial Service for some amendments to be made to the legal instrument governing parliamentary election petitions in the country. We have details coming up shortly for you. Also this afternoon, former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng worried about illegal mining and forest reserves. We'll be bringing you more on this. Plus, 2 more people pick forms to contest vacant Ejisu seat, putting the number to 9. This afternoon, we are in that constituency. We have business, sports, showbiz coming up next. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Denana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Former Minister for Science and Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, says he's worried about illegal mining activities in forest reserves despite actions to end the menace. The act, popularly known as Galamsey, has been a major problem for government with its attendant issues of pollution of water bodies and destruction of forests. The man who was tasked with ending the menace says he's disappointed no great results have been achieved because perpetrators are being aided by persons with political and social influence. He spoke in an interview with Benjamin Akapo on the AM show.
It's very sad, because not only the Forestry Commission, there's a program going on in this country, restoration of land in the cocoa growing areas, being undertaken by the EPA and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And they will tell you, they go and reclaim the land, plant trees, and after some time, when you go there, they've cleared the trees and they are doing mining over there. Some people are doing mining in forest reserves with impunity. And the costs that you say come to the Forestry Commission, where do the costs come from? Certainly not from ordinary people. And so that is where we have to look at it. Where are the costs coming from? Certainly from people with political power or social influence and so on. So those people are supposed to stop what they are doing so that this thing is going to cost us. In fact, it's already cost us a lot, but we don't know. We are going to suffer a lot in the future because of the pollution of the environment and the degradation of the biodiversity and so on.
In the Western region, recently, my friend Daryl Bosu, who is with Arasha Ghana, an environmentally conscious group, shared some footage from the Western region. And actually, a major road you would see stretched to your left as far as your eye can see, to your right. Road. There are buildings there that are literally collapsing. Any mudslide or something, and those buildings will go. And it's right here in Ghana. Did you ever experience that, though? I mean, you've spoken about some of this before, where while you were minister, you got some of those calls?
Yes. And I'm in court because of one of them. So I don't want to go there.
It's a delicate matter.
Yes.
But you did get those calls?
Yes. And I will not listen to you. And when there were serious problems, I called the president himself and told him about the challenges that I was facing. I want to be frank with you.
Professor Frimpong Boateng also indicated Ghana has a long way to go in the fight against corruption. According to him, corruption is endemic in all facets of Ghanaian society, and Ghana is yet to start the fight.
We have not started the fight against corruption.
We've not even started the fight against corruption.
I think corruption is the biggest challenge that we face, not only in this country, but in Africa. It is the biggest thing that is worrying us. It's the denominator in everything that we do. And if we don't because see, even the system is already corrupted when you need to bribe delegates to elect you as MP or flag bearer or whatever it is. That is the beginning of corruption, So we have to be serious with the fight against corruption. whatever that entails. We have not started it.
We've not even started the fight.
No, I don't think so.
We have Shraj, we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we have all of these institutions. And you say we've not even started.
No, I don't think so.
The president would disagree with you because he feels he's done a lot.
That is his opinion. I don't think the president can say or has said, I didn't hear it, I don't think the president can say that he has fought and won the battle against corruption. No, he will not say that.
You don't think he will say that?
No. He knows that there's a fight to be fought and battles to be won.
On the performance of the Akufo-Addo-led administration, he indicated he's not happy with the current state of the economy.
Well, I will not assess him because I was part of the system for 4 years. It was not as bad as we have now, but now things are not going well. But to be very wrong on my part to give him a mark. There are challenges which we have to fight and overcome. And so what I would say is that I'm not happy with the state of the nation, state of the economy. There's so much suffering. Education is not doing well. Power system needs, a lot of things need complete overhaul in this country. That's what I would say for now.
This afternoon, there's a strong push from the Judicial Service for some amendments to be made to the legal instrument governing parliamentary election petitions in the country. This proposal targets reducing the number of days spent in adjudicating such cases. Currently, a petitioner has 21 days to file a case on any election outcome. However, Chairman of the Election Management Committee of the Judicial Service, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafoboni, said this provision is putting more pressure on the courts and must be repealed or amended. Let's go live and speak with Samuel Mburo of our political desk, who is currently a higher level stakeholder engagement organized by the National Peace Council for a Consensus Building on Parliamentary Election Petition Adjudication, for the details. Mburo, what has triggered this proposal from the Judicial Service?
Yeah, so Aisha, we know that currently the CI governing the election petition for the parliamentary, you have 21 days after the day of declaration of the results. So if elections are declared on the 10th of December, meaning on the 7th, 21 days from then, you have to be able to file your case. However, the Judicial Service, per its investigation, says interviewed judges and all those who matter in such cases, and they have found out that these cases take a longer time to adjudicate. So they have to sit with all those who matter, with the Peace Council being the mediator on this issue, to come out with a date or some days that can actually trim it down. So from 21 days, it has now been moved to 7 days. So within 7 days after the declaration of results, if you have a challenge with the outcome of the elections, then you have 7 days to file your case with the, if not, the action for case will definitely elapse, and you will not have the opportunity here. So it's just to bring down the total, the number of days that is normally being used to adjudicate these cases. An example has been made to the Jackie Kwesi's case, for instance, as well as Baba Jamal and other parliamentary election petitions that have actually consumed cost, and we know that this will involve resources. So the Judicial Service thinks that reviewing this or amending this particular provision governing the election petitions for parliamentary petitions would actually go a long way to save time. So
what has triggered this proposal from the Judicial Service, Mburo?
Well, so as I indicated, the main reason is to ensure that the time used in adjudication cases is being reduced, because it has now become a sort of concern within the judiciary. Having other backlog of cases to attend to and election petition cases actually is a setback in the dispensing justice so far as other equally important cases are concerned. So, like I said, it's just to bring time and cost for the judiciary.
Are there other recommendations that were made at this event?
Yeah, so they are also suggesting to the Chief Justice to consider expediting action on the e-justice system, that's enhancing the electronic system of justice, so that at least it will give them the opportunity, or petitioners the opportunity, to even file by email, defense to also file their responses by email. So you don't need to necessarily serve notice of a particular court action as the election petition. So it can be sent to you via email, it can be sent to you via WhatsApp, and the modus operandi is that once it is ticked blue on your WhatsApp status, then it's assumed that you have read it, and action can be taken in that regard. So the issue about the change of election date has also come up. They think that if you are changing the election date, it's going to disrupt a whole lot of the electoral processes, especially the presidential. So they think that we should still go by the 7th December election process. So they are still deliberating, making this strong push before the political parties and civil society organizations who are also in this meeting. At the moment, there is some level of resistance from the political parties. They think that the 7 days is not enough. Some are proposing 14 days. Some think that the 21 days should also be maintained. They think that the time frame for the EC gazetting the results to is another challenge. And some of the political parties are saying that in practice, to file such cases takes time because you need to gather evidences and all that. So they are still having that conversation. Some are strongly kicking against this, whilst others think that if instead of the 7 days, you can add another week, that will be, let's say, 14 days. And these are not just working days, but 14 days after the declaration of the results. So we are still getting responses from the EC. The EC has also been tasked to possibly look into some of these issues to see how adjudicating on some of these cases can be made easier. So the proposed weeks is 15 weeks from the judiciary. So at least if there's a parliamentary petition, it should take not more than 15 weeks to be concluded. The reason there's no emphasis on the presidential is because the provision on that is entrenched. That's why there's no emphasis on that.
Samuel Mbura from our political desk with those updates from that stakeholder engagement. Let's get more of that in our subsequent bulletins. Now to the Ejisu constituency, because 2 more persons have picked forms to contest in that primary of the NPP, soaring the number of aspirants to 9. The by-election has become necessary following the demise of MP for the area, Dr. John Kuma, former assembly member for Esiniampo electoral area. Aaron Prince Julia and Mameya Abuajawa are the latest to join the race. Nana Ojima is there for us. He joins us live with more. Nana Ojima, are there more people expected to pick forms for the primary?
Speculation within the Ejisu constituency and also the NPP party office in the constituency that some more people will follow. Earlier, as I reported yesterday, we've cited about 12 posters. So it means that 12 different people have shown interest in contesting in this race. Earlier, there was a negotiation between some leaders of the New Patriotic Party and these candidates. And so it was expected that following the negotiation, some people will admit and step down. But from what we are seeing, this negotiation will make very little impact on the number of people who would want to contest in the election. So till tomorrow, that is Thursday, where the picking of forms and the filing of nomination officially ends, it's expected that more people will join this race. At least it's expected that 11 people will pick forms to contest the race in the Ejisu constituency. So a lot more will happen, and we'll continue to stay on the ground to find out if more people will actually come into the party office, pick their forms, and also file nominations to contest in the elections.
All right. Nana Ojima with those updates from Ejiso for us. There's more we'll bring you in our subsequent bulletins. We have an eye on the Ejiso election. Now, flag bearer of the Movement for Change, Alan Kwejo has come under intense criticism for asking Ghanaians to vote for him because he is a Christian. In times past, the governing NPP, Dr. Baumia, and opposition NDC's John Mahama have also been criticized for comments made while canvassing for votes. How do these comments affect their chances of winning elections? Let's hear from Professor Kobe Mensah, political marketing strategist at the University of Ghana Business School, and Musa Dankwa, who is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. They both spoke on Joy News Desk.
So extensively, what we find is that in the consciousness of the Ghanaian voters, and the politicians know, are the identities that actually push them to the electoral ballot. And so you would ask yourself extensively, why would Alan actually make that particular comment? We have seen videos that actually show that Baumia had actually emphatically stated that he'd been selected because he was a Muslim, and therefore he's represented the Muslim. And that is when he had gone to the north, speaking to the people that they cannot say that he's representing himself, but he's representing the people of the Muslim faith. So the extensive understanding is that identity politics is part of our political discourse. There is nothing wrong with it. However, you would actually say that you want to find a much more nuanced way of presenting. That would perhaps sound much more comfortable with quite a lot of people, what we call political correctness. But I think that, especially for the MPP campaign, I have always said that from 2016, that was a watershed moment. Quite a lot of name calling was used for political opponents, some very unpalatable, some even in the glare of the media, but they didn't find anything wrong with it. Currently, now it looks like the tide has turned, and they are finding a lot more problems with this kind of identity politics, with this kind of tribal sentiment, etc. They should actually reflect and ask themselves, how have we come here? Even the basis why Baumia must be selected was because of that. They kept on saying it, that if they don't use Baumia, people might think that they have used them. And I keep saying, at what point did we think that you have to have a certain South-North balance on the ticket before you win the election? Because NBC had won election with South-South ticket and never had made that argument of having a certain balance of religion, a certain balance of North and South Post. That argument hadn't actually come up in their camp. Yet we find continuously NPP pushing into the national consciousness of a certain polarized position just to win the election.
But I can say that when it comes to religion, it's going to be a saddle point for the next election in December, because the poll will, I think January poll, about 24% of voters said that religion may play a role in who they choose as a president. We've seen a reduction in that number in the current poll, which we publish next week. So there is still about 15% of voters who believe that the religion of the candidates will play a role, both on the Christian side and on the Muslim side. There are some Muslims who are voting for Baumia because he's a Muslim, and some Christians who are going to vote for Muhammad and Alan because they are Christians. So those will play a role going forward, no doubt about it.
And listening to Professor Kobe Mensah, he talked about, this identity card relating to tribal cards and all of that. What role does that also play, the regional balance?
It will play a role. I think this is going to be the first election that those two issues will play a role. Because for the MPP, it is the first time they've had a Northern candidate run on as a lead candidate on the ticket. And there are people in the South that we know, but we are against ourselves. We know what they say about Northern sometimes. And these are facts, but we don't kind of admit them in public. So you can see some of those people who are not comfortable with the North may gravitate towards Alan Chermati and other candidates in the race. So this will play a role. But as to the extent to which it will have major impact, we're yet to assess that through exit poll.
Registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat, Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, is advocating for swift legislation regarding scholarship distribution in the country to streamline the process. He says the current challenge faced by officers in making decisions is due to the absence of clear legislation defining who qualifies as a needy individual. Dr. Agyemang emphasizes the necessity of scholarship legislation to dispel any misconception about eligibility criteria.
But the law that set up the Secretariat, which group of people are you supposed to target? I'm asking this question because a lot of concerns have come up regarding the way scholarships are being issued. Some believe that under your watch, you've been issuing scholarship to politicians, close allies, those with connection to the top, and those needy but deserving students have been left out. What is the main focus of the Scholarship Secretariat?
Okay, so you asked about an Establishment Act. I'm sorry to say that there's no Establishment Act
for the
Scholarship Secretariat. It's been an issue, one of the key things that I think needs public discussions. If I'm fortunate to go to Parliament.
So that leaves you to just do whatever you feel like doing?
Oh, everything has to be done in tandem with reasonability.
Discretion?
Maybe, largely, because there's no enabling act. So questions or issues like, why do you give people to go and train outside when there are similar courses here? I mean, those are very oversimplified questions just to cut public sympathy. In Ghana, who we usually refer to as the middle income earners are public sector workers. Public sector workers or civil servants or people of your... You be a high income
No,
earner.
I'm not.
The question you ask is, public sector workers or those that we are defining as middle income earners, are they really middle income earners in tandem with best practices or best economic conditions?
Okay.
Civil servants are largely paid between $100 and let's say $300, and we call that one as middle income.
So to you, the point is that even civil servants, they fall within the category of people who really need this support?
Of course. Every Ghanaian, except the high earners, which most of the time it is very difficult to.
So who are those that you classify as the high earner? Because we have seen lists of MPs, ministers of state also benefiting from this funding. And so do they also fall under that same category?
So we need to put in perspective, rightly who these needy people are and how do we determine need. I remember going through my orientation program. That was the first question I asked. That is this thing that needy by brilliant. Who is a needy person? How do you guys assess who a needy person is? Do you use some kind of voodooism to ascertain this thing? So the first thing I did was to work or position the Secretariat towards a decentralized process. Okay. Because for me, that is more rigorous than me sitting in Accra or the Secretariat sitting in Accra to determine the need of somebody at Akokwaso.
He dreams of becoming a medical doctor, but is unable to afford further education. Just as he began to navigate this setback by working as a waiter, a serious medical condition, brain tumor, hit him. That is the story of 25-year-old Daniel Okpoti, who is racing against time to undergo surgery to correct the anomaly. He's asking for help to get the surgery done.
Meet Daniel Odwe Okpoti, a once active 20-year-old who has been diagnosed with a brain tumor, resulting in a large lesion occupying space in his brain. This condition has made it difficult for Daniel to control his movements, forcing him to quit his job. His mother, Nancy Dako, spoke to Joy News about how his condition is affecting them financially and emotionally.
So with his situation has really put me down. It has not been easy I've been crying all night. I've been having sleepless nights. Even sometimes when I'm at work and then I remember whatever is happening to us now, I have to cry. For the kids even have to come closer to me and said, why, Auntie Nancy, stop crying. What is wrong with you? We can't afford to lose him. So I am pleading with everyone out there, with all due respect. I know this little boy will touch your heart. He's just 20 years of age and he's the only son I have now. So I am pleading with everyone out there that you help me save my son's life, my only son's life. He means a lot to me and I beg everyone out there, without your help, he can't make it. I am pleading with everyone. Nothing is too small for us. Everything that comes from your heart, we'll be much grateful.
A neurosurgeon and consultant at the International Maritime Hospital, Dr. Jimmy Abubakar, is urging the public to assist Daniel to undergo surgery, which costs 10,071 Ghana cedis, so he can reclaim his life. Daniel shared with Joy News how his condition is impacting his family, especially his mother.
So when I was told I had brain tumor, I felt surprised and I thought that's all. But the doctor told me something that I should just stay bold and be strong, but everything will be fine. So that kept me very okay from that time. What has really changed is my balance, because first I could run, I could walk fast, I could do everything, I could play football and everything. But for now, when I'm walking, I feel like the world is going around. My dream of becoming a medical doctor is very meaningful to me, so that I can also help people or the sick, so that they can also be on their feet. My family is not stable because my mom is a preschool teacher and my dad is a carpenter, and both of them don't really have that financial support to cater for me to do my surgery. I'm pleading to the public to help me donate so that I could have my surgery and also come back to my normal position as I was at first, and also so that I shouldn't lose my life, because it's something very serious that if care is not taken, I might lose my life. I want people to help me so that the surgery can be done, so that the stress and the emotions and everything ends, because my family or my mom and my sisters are going through a lot with stress.
Time is of the essence for Daniel Odoe Okpoti. Without the surgery, he faces the risk of blindness, complete loss of movement, severe headaches, and possibly death. Doctors, Daniel and his mother, are making a heartfelt appeal to the general public for assistance. Zuleha Nuhu's report read to you.
No contribution is too small. You can help a brother save a life. Now, the Bono East Regional Director of Health, Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, is asking the government to consider establishing an accident emergency center along the Techiman-Kintampo-Tamale Highway to provide immediate care for accident victims. He's optimistic this will save lives, as accident victims will be stabilized before being referred to other major health facilities across the country. Anna Sabet has more.
The Techiman-Kintampo Highway is noted for recording more accidents with fatalities in the country yearly, and the absence of an accident and emergency center along the stretch to cater for accident victims has contributed to the high number of deaths from road crashes over the years. Bono East Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, says the creation of an accident and emergency center would help stabilize accident victims before being referred to major hospitals in Tamale, Techiman, or Kumasi.
If you look throughout the country, I will state this again. Bono East alone is about 10% of the whole landmass of the country. Then if you look at the Bono Ahafo, Bono East is about 2/3 of the landmass. Look, if you are really coming from Tamale, that stretch, so you get to Techiman. Have you seen the stretch? It's so, the roads are good, comparatively better, and it's accident prone. We have countless cases, but the question is, when we have, it's not a matter of if, because that is a human institution. Based on all the remedies that we have, when we have, what do we have to do? We need an area where we can really stabilize people along the stretch.
He says this has been the Directorate's plea for the past few years, adding that a 15 to 20 bed capacity structure would at least help save lives of survivors of road crashes along the stretch.
It has been advocacy for how many? 4 or 5 years. There is a need for Bono East in this stretch to get areas, accident and emergency, maybe about 15, 20 beds, where we can really stabilize, because when there is an emergency, 1 minute, 2, 3 minutes is of essence. When we don't really manage all these very well, we can airlift you to the first class. Your survival is questionable. We need that accident and emergency around that enclave for Bono East, for Bono, and for the country, for the northern part, all coming. That is our cry that we will have to get. We all know the accidents that have happened across. The recent one, some bodies were even charred. And then we lost a lot of them, even at Kintampo North Hospital. But this is our cry and the need for us to get.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Kintampo.
We're still live on Joy News today. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more.
Hello, welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Measures to contain election-related spending for this year, recapitalization of National Investment Bank, and improving tax collections. Now, these are some of the issues that should be finalized during the second IMF program review. George Yafe has more.
Some of those issues that have been highlighted are not part of those targets that should be met ending December last year. Rather, because of this engagement, the IMF is taking the opportunity to get some clarity on progress of work because of its impact on Ghana's program going forward. One can talk about the expenditure and what fresh measures being instituted to ensure that government doesn't end the year with a high deficit that could destabilize the economy and the IMF program going forward. Government was recently forced to freeze the implementation of some taxes announced in the 2024 budget. One can talk about the VAT on electricity tariffs. The IMF mission will be seeking to get some clarity from government on what are the alternatives to ensure that government ends the year with a good revenue position. Another issue that should be finalized during this mission engagement is the recapitalization of National Investment Bank. Under the IMF program, the fund is working to firmly stabilize the entire financial sector. Joy Business understands that the IMF could be providing some funding to help the bank and other financial institutions. Sources say we could also get some update on the deal that has been reached with bilateral creditors and the Eurobond holders.
Paramount Chief of the Tumor traditional area, Richard Babini Canton, has expressed worry over the poor state of the Tumor cotton ginnery, which has been abandoned and allowed to waste. It says the cotton ginnery, if revamped, could give employment to the teeming youth in the Sisala enclave. Rafik Salam has more.
The Tumor cotton ginnery was established 40 years ago with the objective of adding value to the cotton produce in the Upper West region, especially the Sisala enclave, and also to give employment to CO people in the area. Operation of the ginnery, however, ran into a halt almost 3 decades after it started operation following the folding up of the Ghana Cotton Company Limited in 2011, which had oversight responsibility of managing the ginnery. Government later partnered with 3 private investors, namely Vianco, RLG, and Olam Ghana Limited, to fill in the void, but has since not yielded the desired results. Olam Ghana Limited was taxed by the government to reform the cotton production in the region following the launch of the White Gold program in 2010 at Tumor. The measure by the government brought the hope of socio-economic prosperity to farmers. The company, however, folded up after 4 years, leaving farmers in limbo. Not a blade weight of cotton has been gained by the January. Valuable machines valued at thousands of Ghana cedis are under lock and key and allowed to waste. Other heavy equipment and farm machines are left under the mercy of the weather. Unscrupulous persons who sometimes have access to the site are now having a full day stealing valuable parts of the equipment and machines. At the annual Paragwele Festival, which is celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Tumor traditional area, Paramount Chief of the Tumor traditional area, Koro Richard Babini Canton the Chief, in a speech read on his behalf by Luruwe Mohammed Canton, expressed worry over the poor state of the January, calling on the government to revamp it to give jobs to the teeming youth in the area.
The revival of the Tumor Cotton January is dear to my heart because it has the potential of providing direct and indirect jobs to thousands of the youth and also help boost the economy of the area. I therefore wish to use this platform to once more remind government to find money to revamp the January, to give true meaning to its industrialization policy, since it will be a viable project.
Rafik Salam filed that report, ending business on Joy News Today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. That will be at 1 p.m. where the marketplace. Sports is next.
Time now to bring you sports on Joy News Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, former president of the Ghana Football Association. Kwesi Nyantakyi claims that Ghana football has taken a drastic decline since he was hounded out of office following the premiere of number 12 documentary by Tiger IPI and Anas Almeya Anas. According to him, during his tenure as president of the Ghana Football Association, the senior national team, the Black Stars, made it to the semi-final of every single competition between 2008 and 2017. But he believes that with the full support behind the president of the current GFA leadership, Kurt Okreku, Ghana football will be back to its glory days.
Ghana football now is not in the best of shapes. If we compare the performances of the Black Stars over the period from 2008 up to this time, if we were to draw a graph, a straight line graph, there will be a straight line like this because of the semi-finals for a long time, and then the first round exits will bring it down like this. But there are other new initiatives that GFA has introduced in, let's say, women's football, in youth football, that we have to applaud them. But the ultimate, most people are judged by the performance of the senior team. The senior team is not in a good shape, and we have to appreciate that and find ways to really address it.
To athletics now, and President of Ghana Athletics, Baaf Hussein, he says that with the right infrastructure currently available, due to the fact that Ghana hosted the African Games 2023, he believes that sports in the country will begin to yield results within the next 5 to 10 years. He was speaking on Sports Link with Nathaniel Atto.
How do we keep this facility to the next 5-10 years so that we're able to have the fuller benefit or the fuller use of these facilities? That comes with a lot of sacrifice, with a lot of funding. If we are not able to keep it well, if we are not able to store it well, if we are not able to use it to the purpose that it was purchased for us, then we cannot blame the government or the ministry or the LOC, but we have to blame ourselves. And in athletics, we are working seriously with the University of Ghana, with Dr. Bello, how to utilize the equipment at the University of Ghana Stadium. We did a meeting last week, and we did inventory. We are still doing the inventory to know exactly the equipment that we have after the competition, so that we have a very good storage at the University of Ghana, so that both the university and the Athletic Association can use the equipment effectively. But what I can add is that we need to also water the tracks maybe twice or thrice in a week. We need to water the tracks. We need to able
can you repeat that? I want this to be repeated.
No, we need the tracks need to be watered.
And Muftau, let's
in a week.
Muftau, let's immediately after this show ensure that this is edited. We'll play this on all our social media platforms.
And we'll have an online story also.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Let us water the tracks
at least twice in a week. Because if you don't water the tracks, it become dried and become whittled, and it gets rusted within no time. It is not only football grass that we water. Sometimes I went to Tamale about a couple of years ago. I was telling the Tamale director that we need to water the tracks, but they didn't understand why we should water running surface. Look at how scorchy the weather is. Now I'm going to see the tracks in Tamale.
But if a director, I mean, and this is where I sometimes get very, very infuriated. So if a director of sports of a whole region as crucial as the northern region doesn't understand or have the understanding of how to maintain a running track, they don't deserve to be there.
I mean, it's sometimes if when you mention watering track, people so why do you water tracks? We need to water it. My first running that I did outside Ghana was in Thailand when I was a student. I got there Thailand in the morning in the stadium. The running surface was wet, so I didn't understand. So I asked the guy, so no, this has to be watered every day. So in Thailand, they water their tracks every single day. Before you come in the morning, it looks as if it rains, and it keeps the running surface
fresh.
in the very good condition and fresh, and it can last as long as 10 years or 15 years. But if you don't do that, within 3-4 years, you see it cracking.
I see.
Yes. So we must. This one day, I will have to discuss it with University Authority and the ministry that the tracks at Legon Stadium must be watered at least 3 times in a week for us to keep its quality and its standard to the next 10 years.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. We appreciate your time.
Good afternoon, you welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yabwa. Noah King, a former radio presenter at a popular radio station in Ghana, has recounted how he lost his family and livelihood through drugs. According to him, he got into drugs because he was told it would make him more assertive and confident. Unfortunately for him, this addiction caused him to lose his job as a radio presenter, and to cap it all, his wife and child abandoned him. Noah King is one of the creatives captured in the new Hotline documentary by Joy FM journalist Kwame Dadzi.
At a point in time, instead of me going on air, I wouldn't go. I would say, Mufti Dabri, Najib, it is a good play for me. So it got to a point in time, despite says, no, it seems this guy has lost it, has lost focus, and apparently I was relieved of my duties.
Not only did Noah King lose his job, he also lost his family and resorted to sleeping in slums.
One day I went to town, and then before I came back, she packed bag and baggages and left unceremoniously with a young chap, Jaden, and they left. And when I came, I said, oh yes, beautiful. I love it that you guys went. Wow. Reasons being that the little that I have, I can use it to satisfy myself again.
But Noah King is not the only Ghanaian creative that has suffered the scourge of drug addiction. Kiki Jan, Timothy Bentum, OJ Black, Nasty, Lord Kenya, Okonfo Kwade, Sugar Tone, and Red Eye of Too Tough fame have been in this situation.
Well, the full documentary is on all our social media platforms, and it's a wrap for the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansumayewa. Aisha.
This afternoon, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.